Hi there, how's it going? In this lesson, we'll be comparing the two methods of forecasting or two types of model of forecasting. One is the traditional stat forecasting model, which has the ARIMA, linear regression, cold winter method, and we have machine learning forecasting models. So these have the uh, advanced models like random forest, XGBoost, neural networks. So those kind of models in machine learning model and traditional stat forecasting model. So we'll be comparing these two models on different factors, which would help you to choose which type of forecasting model you should be using in your organization. So here you can see a table on the screen in which I have taken um, some factors, important and relevant factors that would influence anybody's decision to choose a traditional stat forecasting model or a machine learning model. So let us discuss them one by one. The very first factor is the data input volume. Now, since machine learning model has lot of or multiple variables which influences the output. On the other hand, the traditional stat forecasting model is mainly based upon the historical sales data. So if considering that for this factor, a stat forecasting model, a traditional stat forecasting model would need a comparatively less data. But on the other hand, for a machine learning forecasting model, you need to give huge batches of data for it to learn, for the model to learn and to give a good output. Second, let's talk about the quality of input. So again, as we discussed, that machine learning model takes into account a lot of variables, and we need to have a very clean data, a quality data, which will help a machine learning model to predict. So yeah, any machine learning model, its output is as much as good as the input given to it. So again, in this factor, we would need a high quality input for a machine learning model. Now let's talk about the amount of manual work required. So traditional stat forecasting models are required high amount of manual work compared to a machine learning forecasting model, which is the process is quite automated once it's deployed. Of course, while establishing or while making or preparing the model, you put a lot of effort while training the model. But once it's deployed, the amount of effort required for a machine learning model is way less. But if talking about traditional stat forecasting model, yeah, the amount of manual work required is high. But of course, there are tools these days into the market which have made that process, the ERP tools have made that process also quite seemingly smooth. Coming to the next factor, which is expert human resource. So do we need an expert professional, a, a person with unique skills to execute that process? So talking about traditional stat forecasting model, no, in this case the process is quite easy and a normal person can also do it. But in case of machine learning forecasting model, yes, you need a person, a qualified person, a competent person who has knowledge about statistics, who has knowledge about data science, who has knowledge about business machine learning. So you will need an expert data science team, an IT team, which is capable of fetching the data, cleaning it, processing it, then training the model, deploying the model into the production system, and maintaining it cycle on cycle. So this is an additional task that is required for a machine learning forecasting model. Coming to the next one, which is any advanced technology required. So yes, for machine learning forecasting model, again, you need advanced tools for it to handle the huge data, to process it, to train it. On the other hand, traditional stat forecasting model doesn't require any one of these. Next, let's talk about the explainability. How explainable is the forecast? How easily you can interpret the forecast? So the stat forecasting model, it's relatively very transparent for you to interpret the forecast output. But machine learning models are quite complicated. They have a lot of factors, variables influencing, and you need to have good understanding of statistics, a lot of other things for you to interpret the output of a machine learning forecasting model accurately. But in comparison to that, a traditional stat forecasting model is very transparent and very easy to understand. Talking about best fit, in what environment the traditional stat forecasting model or a machine learning forecasting model would give a better output. So a traditional stat forecasting model is always good in terms of long-term forecast, and also it gives a very good output for an established product. But if you try to predict a new product with a traditional stat forecasting model, you are going to fail miserably. On the other hand, machine learning forecasting model will give you a very good output for a new product new launch. And last but not the least, the very important factor for most of us is the cost involved. So if you see, major cost would be involved in these two categories. Rest of the categories won't involve so much of the cost. So if you see, the human resources needed for machine learning forecasting model is high, and even the technology that is required for a machine learning forecasting model to execute properly is also high. So if you think in terms of cost, then of course the machine learning forecasting model is going to cost you an extra cash on your pocket. But the decision remains with you. What you can afford. Can you afford a less accurate forecast? Or you would like to have a accurate forecast, but you are ready to invest in machine learning forecasting model. But if you can afford to have a less accuracy, your manufacturing environment, your business environment is such that even with the less forecast accuracy, you can make it up with other means. Like for example, you have a huge production capacity and a very flexible production system. So even if your forecast is inaccurate, but you have invested a lot in your production or operations, which is very lean and flexible, then you can, even though your forecast is very bad, but you can on the spot prepare the orders and cater to your customer. So this was just one of the example where the machine learning model is not required. So think as per your business environment, your situation, your conditions, which one is more suitable for you. So this is it for this lesson. Thank you and have a great day ahead.